Alright guys, it's Melon Pupper here. Got a new video for you. A little bit different one. This is going to be a benchmarking video. And purpose of this video, I want to find out what kind of in-game video quality, clarity, frame rate, latency we get with various resolutions and detail settings. And I want to see it native resolution with and also with GPU upscaling like DLSS. This rig is a AMD 9800 X3D. It's overclocked to 5.4 gigahertz, as you can see here. I'm only running the main 8 cores, not doing any hyper-threading. Did a bunch of testing and found this is the fastest way. It keeps the processor from doing a lot of other things and just kind of focusing on the game at hand. This one is on water cooling, so it'll stay at 5.4 the whole. Can stream for 10 hours, 14 hours, it doesn't matter. The card that I have in here right now is a Nvidia 5070 Ti. It's overclocked, plus 290 on the core and plus 2000 on the memory. It's GDDR7 memory, so you can really push those. This computer has 32 gigabyte of DDR 8000. It's on Windows 11 with all the latest patches and drivers. Let's see. I've got the fan speed set to come on at 100% once the GPU reaches, or CPU reaches 55%. So the case, the CPU, the GPU, they're all synced to come on full speed at 55C, which is pretty much as soon as it gets, in game. And right now you can see the GPU's at 41, so it's just chilling. Even though we got the game open, it's not doing a whole lot. And let's see, for a point of reference, this computer on 3D Mark scores about 27,000. I think 700 and something was the best. But 27,000 it can do. But to do that, that has a CPU test built in. And I'm talking about Time Spy, not the extreme one, but the regular Time Spy one. It will score 27, a little over 27,000, but you can't just run the 8 cores. You got to run all of them, so you have to go to BIOS and enable that. Because part of the 3D Mark synthetic test is a CPU test at the very end, and it keeps hitting the CPU with more and more core homework to do, and eventually it goes beyond the 8, and then the performance doesn't hold up very good. So you get a lower score running the 8 on a synthetic test. So if you're doing video editing, rendering, real-time editing, anything like that, where you're saving massive files, doing that kind of intensive work, then you would probably want to turn that all cores back on. But for gaming, the 8 core is shown to be the best way. It keeps the processor focused on the game. And let's see, what else should we mention? Oh, if there's enough interest shown in the comments, might do a similar benchmark video with the 7900 XTX. Also, I have a Nvidia 5090. Should be here tomorrow, but it might be a few days before I can get to it, because it'll show up, at 7 p.m. or something late. Let's see, we got the Nvidia overlay up here. What's important in gaming is latency. If you get that above 10, especially in VR, right now we're not doing VR, but especially in VR, things will start kind of strobing as they drive by or run by, depending on what kind of game you're playing. So we really want to watch that. This menu is capped at 60, so it's not going to go any higher right here. This is the 0.32 patch, the multiplayer early access release. And we're just kind of beta testing it for them right now. So without further ado, so here's a garage scene here. See, the latency's nice and clean. Let's go to settings. Actually, we need to go to the desktop first and set our video. I want to start with 1080p. And the way this game works, I've noticed that it really wants to go with whatever your native resolution is, so I have to set it to 1080p. This is an ultra-wide monitor, so bear that in mind. 1080p, hopefully it's still capturing okay. Yeah, we might have to stretch that as we change resolutions, but we can fix that in just a second here. Let's see. Transfer. Let's fit it to screen. That'd be alright. Transfer. Fit to screen. There we go. Alright, that should work, I think. Right? Yeah. Maybe that. It'll be alright for what we're doing. Alright, so we'll go to the game now. Alright, let's move my shortcuts from there. EVO. Okay, this should force the game to fire up in 1080p. Because I want to see what this, because not everybody's running 1440p. A lot of people game at 1080p still. I just want to see what that's like. Interesting, okay. You have to shuffle things around because I don't usually game in this. Alright. Yeah, 1920 by 1080. VSync is off. Graphics preset. Let's just start with the very low. Scooch this out of the way for a minute, maybe. So it's everything low. It's low and native. So native means it's not doing any upscaling. And I'm turning off any motion blur. Got cars ahead and behind set very low, actually. I think the default's like 20 and 10. I halved it. I don't need to see all 20 cars. Most of the time you can't see them anyway, but so everything's low. Let's turn anything that adds processing. And just to keep things fair, we'll turn the mirrors all the way off. Give it a second to save the changes. Go back. So yeah, super low latency. I've never actually seen this at 2. But cap frame rate and all that probably helps. So let's go drive. Multiplayer server list. And let's just pull up one that's full of people if we can. Oh, there's nobody playing right now? That's kind of weird. Is it really not? No, it's very quiet right now. Okay, it's 10 p.m. Alright, we'll join this server. What I found is SPA is, I look for, to set up video card settings and get the best frame rate and benchmark. I set up, I go into a game and find the worst spot you can find. Let's turn the audio down for a while. It's not an audio test. Alright. Alright. Oh, that guy's super fast. He races a lot of sim. Anyway. I'll just load up a tune. So yeah, 280, 300 frames. That might be capped. It might not go any higher. No, 303. CPU usage looks good. Let me load up one of my tunes here. And we'll hit the track and see what the frame rate and the frame time is. So yeah, I think it's pretty clear that this video card at 1080p can run this game on low, no problems. Alright. Move this somewhere else. So yeah, no problem. Super fast. This monitor will do 240 hertz, so it's liquid smooth. All right, just a little taste right there. Alright, so keeping that frame rate in mind, you know, nearly, we'll write it down. Let's see, low, we'll just call it 300. Let's go to medium settings. And we're just going to use these presets because that just keeps it consistent between tests. We can leave that over there and still. So medium adds some anti-aliasing, some filtering to get ambient occlusion. So it's just kind of like medium everything. Makes sense. All right, let's go back, resume. All right, 280 frames. All right, so now the video card's actually having to do some work. Same scene. Latency basically doubled, frame rate cut down quite a bit, GPU usage is up quite a bit. CPU's still happy, it's not really concerned about this too much. But yeah, there's the GPU, you can see it there. It's doing some work now. Alright. So we'll call that, what do you say, about 200 frames there. Big difference. Start putting some resolution on the game, you really start asking the GPU to do work. Alright, let's do it on high. Alright. Lost our video frame rate overlay. Here it goes. Alright, so the GPU is still holding pretty good there, even on high. Utilization still not 100% all the time, so the latency is not going over 10. CPU still chilling. One core is a little busier than the other. So I would call that 175, if you guys agree. So far we're looking at low 300, medium 200, high 175. And finally, let's try Ultra on 1080, and then we'll move on to 1440p testing. Settings, video, graphics, Ultra. Apply that. Let's see what it does here. Still, this is all still native. Alright. All the mirrors are on, etc. Zoom. Alright, there's Ultra for you. Very pretty. I see the shadows are really nice. Everything's nice and sharp. Textures are really sharp. Yeah, it's nice. CPU's busy. I hear my fans spinning pretty good, so yeah, we're right at the... It's trying to hold it at 55. 55C is where I've got the fans at 100%, so I feel like if I can keep it, 55 to 60C, then the clock speed can come on up because it's not getting into any thermal throttling whatsoever. So yeah, we'll call this... Yeah, probably 130, probably a fair number for that. So yeah, 300 frames on low, 200 on medium, 175 on high, Ultra 127. So I would say this game is very playable with this car, even on Ultra. That's on native. I think the frame rate's so good on this. That's really impressive. Alright, let's go to settings, video. Back to very low. And upscaling. Let's do DLSS. Performance on low. Yeah. Let's see what this does. Should be really high frame rate. So you guys that have those 300 and something hertz monitors, this might be the way to do it. Let's give it a second, see if it'll pick up the frames. There it goes. Is it gonna? Yeah, still 300-ish. Interesting enough. So I would say we're kind of hitting the limitation of how many frames a CPU can feed the GPU. Right around 300 with this 9800X 3D. Seems to be about all it's going to do. So that's on DLSS performance. Let's try medium. All of these look good to me. Like that one's a little fuzzy. See some fuzz there, but overall it's a pretty good looking scene. $220 frames, I'd say easily. 220. So far, the difference between native and DLS performance at 1080p is about the same. Medium, it's picking up about 20 frames. On low, it doesn't really pick up any frame rate because I think we're hitting the limitation of what the CPU can serve the GPU. So let's go to high. This is DLSS performance high. Yeah, still seeing fuzz just from the DLS being on performance mode. And 200 frames on high is pretty good. Let's see. Before it was getting 175 on high with native, so it's picked up some frame rate. Picked up 25 frames per second. Picked up 20 frames on medium. It picked up 25 frames per second with DLSS on the performance mode. And finally, let's try ultra real quick. Ultra. Alright. Quality wise, it looks about the same in all these, honestly, because the limiting factor is probably DLSS being on performance mode. So you can turn your game qualities up and down and not really see a whole lot of difference in that visually. Maybe pop-in distance and shadows and some differences, but there's a little bit of fuzz going on there, a little pixelation. Almost looks like you're looking through a screen door and on the very distant stuff. Right, we're looking at 10 milliseconds, so we're getting kind of close to higher latency, because you probably have this latency and you probably have frame gen latency, unless this app is adding both together. This is Nvidia's app, so it could very well be adding it all together. But alright, so yeah, usage is still nominal, so I would call this about 145 to 150 frames. And so that's ultra. So before that was 127, and now it's more like 145, I'd say, pretty easily. So a little bit of a diminishing return on ultra, and that's probably because the GPU's starting to hit a wall of how much it can possibly do anyway. Alright, so that was performance. Let's try quality. Back to low. Okay, DLAA, this almost looks like things will get better and better and better. Well, DLAA is just anti-aliasing. It's just this. But it's Nvidia's version. So I think we'll do performance. And we'll do ultra quality. So I figure most people are probably going to do one or the other. They either have a GPU that can't keep up, so they're going to do the performance mode and want to see what frame rate that's going to do. Or they got a better system and they want to get better frame rate but have it look super sharp. Well, that's where ultra quality, DLSS with ultra quality, it should look almost as good as regular native resolution and pick up some frame rate. That's our goal there. So without further ado, low quality everything, DLSS, ultra quality. Back, zoom. Hey, very nice. So ultra quality, 2.9 milliseconds, 4 milliseconds. You know, it's going to move around as texture's loaded and out probably. But yeah, I'm looking for the pixels in the distance, and they look much, much better. The quality setting is much better looking than the performance setting. And the frame rate is actually really good still. 284. So we'll call it 284. DLS quality on low is 284. So if you have a really fast video card like this one and a fast monitor that can do, 265 hertz or something, this might be a good setting for you. All right, let's move it up to medium settings. 1080p DLSS quality. Let's turn the game settings to medium. And these settings are just like adding further and further draw distance, better and better shadow quality, lighting quality, lighting updates, ambient occlusion, which adds a little bit more depth to like in darkness and little crevices and stuff to make it look better. So it's just adding just a little more detail. Clads are more volumetric. Lighting in general is better. So all that stuff takes the CPU more time to send to the GPU to render. So the two have to work together, and if you got not enough CPU or not enough GPU or the settings are too high, then you start getting a lot of render latency. And this goes up above 10, you start seeing stuttering in the game. So I like to keep that low. Like a first-person shooter, I try to be in the 5 or 4 or something like that. But 200 frames per second, and yeah, that is medium DLS ultra quality, medium in game. And how many frames was it? 200 and call it 205. Alright, and then high. Just kind of bumping everything up to high. A little bit sharper and a little bit sharper. Looking really nice. Shadows look real nice. Everything's very sharp. $89 on high. So it dropped from medium 205 to 189 still very good. Yeah, so this card on 1080p is just a monster. It, everything. It can do everything at, well over 120 frames per second. So on ultra, and on low end, it can double that. So up to 300 frames per second. So you've got a lot of frame rate options and quality setting options with this at 1080p at least. Did we set this to ultra? That was on high, wasn't it? Yeah, this is DLSS quality at 1080p ultra in the game. Alright, that's as sharp as it can be with DLSS on at 1080p. And our numbers are here. Yeah, latency is getting close to 10. So that's about as high as I would push it. Especially if you're a streamer or doing other things with your computer, like, playing videos on another monitor or stuff like that. This gets much higher, than this frame rate is going to start diving pretty bad. But you can still go higher in the quality details, so you could grab the anti-aliasing and zing it over more if you needed it. Yeah, solid 140 frames is pretty nice on ultra. On performance mode, it was getting 145. So yeah, we're hitting a limitation of the GPU at high resolution. Alright, and then my recommended settings for this, honestly, if you really just want it to run really good and make it look good without overtaxing the GPU at all, set everything to very low. Put this on native. Yeah, this doesn't actually matter what that's on because we're going to turn it off here. So it's going to be native. Anti-aliasing, I usually run that on 2 to 4 at the most. This is 1080p, so no problem with 4. Turn these off, they add blur. 10 and 5 works pretty good. Grass density, I usually turn that up just so it has a little bit of grass. The rest of it I leave off. The mirrors, I need really good mirrors. I need to see who's behind me. I need to see them clearly. And we'll turn on all the dash stuff. Got plenty of GPU overhead. Yeah, main GPU's at 90%. These are the settings that I like. And this will get you, about my monitor refresh rate, 240 hertz. This is the recommended settings for the best clarity at 1080p. And we'll drive just a little bit here so you can see what it looks like with really nice settings. I've been driving in VR, so I'm kind of feel weird looking at the monitor driving, but see that frame rate and that frame time look nice and steady. The GPU's not overworked, the CPU's not overworked. So just a hint of anti-aliasing, and that's inherent in this game in particular. 1080p, you're going to get a little bit of jaggies, but with that 2x anti-aliasing, it actually looks really good. So yeah, this is native, well over 240 frames a lot of times. It's all 250 and stuff like here. In this game, your frame rate's going to be lowest when you're looking at these long corridors like here. And this thing is still doing easy 200 frames here. Yeah. Rock solid, way over 200 frames all day long. Very nice. All right. Let's switch it up here. All right, we come out of here to change the resolution. Should pull up my desktop in a second. Let's change the display settings. Let's move around a little bit. All right. So my monitor is ultra wide. So while this is a 1440p test, it's wider than the typical, what is it, 2560 by 1440. So there's more, 4 to 6 inches of more pixels on each side of the monitor. It's just a little bit wider. So this test is going to be a little bit harder on the GPU than somebody who was just running straight up natural 1440p. This ultra wide is going to be a little more taxing, but may not be as much, or it might be pretty similar to 4K. I would have to get a calculator and do the math, but so anyway, to give you an idea, it should be somewhere between 1440p and 4K. So it's going to put a pretty good load on the GPU. So now when we launch the game, we'll set it to that resolution and see how. So this is the original resolution here. So this is the difference. This is how much real estate you have running ultra wide, how much screen you can see. So I can see a lot more cars and stuff on the side of me. Isn't that wild? Alright, so let's hit continue here, and hopefully it'll let us. There we go, native resolution, confirm. Alright, so right off the rip, let's go to the lobby. 60 frames capped, so that doesn't look any different because it's capped. Some reason in VR they don't cap it. You can go on up, but in 2D they do cap it. So let's go to video settings. Yeah, it looks great. Let's just start off with low. Native low. So everything low. I think before we had turned off depth of field on low, because I feel like if you're playing on low, like you're turning everything off just to get any kind of frame rate. So let's test it that way. There we go. Native low. Surprisingly few people playing right now. They've changed. They turned on multiplayer, and they had all kinds of different types of races and series and things they were testing, and I guess they're done with that part of the testing. So now what they're testing is just making a practice session. So yeah, we're looking at 200 frames here, it looks like. Well, I shouldn't bother loading it too. We're not going to race right now. Back up. Yeah, but the clarity is really good. It's actually very sharp. Just because the resolution is so much higher, it kind of compresses all the extra pixels, and it just looks a lot better. A little screen door effect in the distance. There's Naka. A little bit of anti-aliasing, but that's inherent in this track. 214 frames, so yeah, this video card is quite happy at 1440p on the low graphics settings, and the low graphics settings look perfectly good. It's one thing I've noticed about this game is like you don't have to have it cranked to the moon. Now I can see the grass textures are blurry and just everything's on low. I think we were about here somewhere, weren't we? Something like that. At 208, 6 milliseconds, really nice. GPU's 93%. So we'll call it 210. Oh, come on. Is it going to let me get to the other monitor? It must be settings. Video. Well, there's a display. Ah, yeah, that's what's happened here. Couldn't get to the other monitor. Alright. There we go. I'll sit there, leave this in the corner. Keep that up. Overlay. Okay, so 210, I'd say, at times. So this is a native low, no DLS, 210. All right, and then let's look at mediums. So it's sharpening things up a little bit, adding some texture filtering so it's not so blurry. Everything's coming up on medium, or their idea of medium. There you go, 140 frames. Still pretty good frame rate, medium at 1440p ultra wide. Let's see, I got a typo in the last number. So we're looking at 140. Let's try to hide it. Hide graphics. Alright. 10 milliseconds, so getting close to the point where the game's going to start strobing a little bit. If you go a whole lot higher than that, you're going to start having input latency. You're going to start feeling it. 128 frames though, really good, super sharp. Yeah, super nice. 125 frames, okay. These same settings, the high graphic settings in the game, we're getting 125 now, and native 1080p was also 125, interestingly enough. So yeah, this GPU is hitting the limitation of how many frames it could serve with the game details. So I guess the CPU might be hitting a wall there somewhere. Hard to say. Let's go to Ultra. Settings, video, graphics, Ultra. And keep in mind, these frame rates are also while I'm recording. So, and I'm recording at the highest quality I can. So your results might be a little bit better, even though you may not be overclocking your CPU or GPU. Alright, Ultra, 106 frames. Yeah, it's really pretty. Ultra was 127 in 1080p. $105. So yeah, about 20 frames left difference. 105. Mm-hmm. Let's try DLSS performance. Online. Alright, so if you're running this high resolution, so it looks good on your monitor, and you want to run higher frame rate because your GPU may not be the best, and you can run DLSS to help get the better frame rate. Run it on performance mode, so it's not trying to overly sharpen and sample every frame. You know, it should get really good frame rate at a high resolution. Yeah. Yeah, looks pretty good actually. Super sharp. The textures look blurry because things are on low. What are we looking at? Yeah, 250 frames is really nice. So yeah, that's a really good frame rate for 1440p ultra wide. 240, 250. Okay, I think I was putting in, let's see, this is 240. I think I was putting things in the wrong field here. Should have done this in Excel. Be easier to just kind of jot these numbers down. That way if anybody asks or something like that, I'm at the fingertips. Alright. Bump it up. A medium DLSS 3440 1440p. See. There we go. 180 frames per second. So that looks. A little bit of a screen door thing going on there. So the resolution's high because we're at 1440p, but it's a little bit grainy. Not too bad. And the frame rate's really good. 180. And that was medium DLSS, 1440p. So it went from 240 to 180, I believe. And it's like a little grainy. High. Eight milliseconds, 162. GPU seems pretty happy there. That's a pretty good setting. It's not over 10 milliseconds, 165 frames. Usage hitting all over 100%, so it seems pretty happy with that setting. Good frame rate, good latency. That's a pretty good setting there. 165. So DLS performance, the game on high. 165 frames. For reference, native on iOS 125. And this looks pretty sharp. It's a little, you can see a little bit. The performance mode has a little bit of graininess to it. I'm not going to lie. But it's pretty dang good. Let's see. What else we got here? Let's go to Ultra mode. DLSS. Game on Ultra. Ultra graphics, so that means the textures and all that's going to be sharp. The shadows and all that's going to have all the features and pretty stuff. But we're running DLSS to insert some fake frames to get the frame rate up. And we're running it on performance mode, so when it does add new frames, it does it very quickly. They're not the sharpest frames. So this should let you have really sharp textures, high resolution, and good frame rate. Should be a nice setting. Alright. 124. Yeah, that's pretty good. Very drivable. You could play that. But the latency's starting to get high, so you might see some strobing when things come flying by. If they're perpendicular to you, like a T. You know, you're sitting there looking on the side of the road, somebody drives by. It's probably going to stutter a little bit when you start getting well over 10, from my experience. Especially in VR, it's very noticeable. When it gets real high, like 15 and 20 and stuff, cars literally just strobe light coming by. It's even if you have 90 frames per second, 90 frames with 6 milliseconds of latency, liquid smooth, sharp smooth. Your eyes can just pan, and it's easy to track. But 90 frames with double the latency, say 18, 20 milliseconds of latency, you might still have 90 frames technically, but the frame time, something about the time in between them is like erratic, and it just makes it strobe and stutter. Big difference and that can make what was otherwise a clear scene seem a little blurry. And then what's happening is it's got this little band of ghosting behind the vehicle, and your eyes are just constantly trying to focus on this blur. Makes it hard. Same problem in first-person shooters. You really want to get that down to like 5 or 6 ideally. So anyway, 120, that's on Ultra settings, DLSS performance. So now the video card's starting to feel the pain a little bit as we go into keeping it on DLSS, but we're going for we'll just go from performance to ultra quality on that as well. So figure if you're using DLSS, you're either trying to get way more frame rate, or you're trying to get more frame rate at a higher quality. So ultra quality DLSS. So this is going to make it look as good as possible, but your GPU's helping a little bit with the frame rate by inserting some fake frames. Whereas native would be the real frames, no AI generated upscaling, no nothing. Alright, so got here. Right. Card's still doing pretty good, over 100 frames. The latency's come up a bit, so frame rate's good, but the latency's kind of getting up there a little bit. And the CPU's not overworked, so excuse me, it's nearly 11 o'clock. It is 11 o'clock. So we'll write that down, 115 frames. And that is what the game, I think we skipped the setting there. Yeah, we were going to try that on low first, but anyway. So Ultra is 115. on DLSS quality. And DLSS performance was 120, so you may as well run the Ultra unless it causes more strobing than you might as well run Ultra quality unless it causes more strobing than DLSS performance Ultra. There's only 5 frames difference between the two. Alright, let's run this graphics preset on very low. And then at the end of this, I'll show you the settings I would use to get the best clarity and the fastest frame rate to match my monitor, which does 240 hertz. So I would do, let's go low, DLSS quality is what we're doing. I'm just checking low. So yeah, textures are blurry right off the rip. Definitely don't recommend that. That's going to look kind of funny. Yeah, the dash has no texture on it. It has texture, like there's color differences, but you can't see like the little tiny grooves that are, kind of ingrained, the grain of you can't see the grain of it, I guess you could say. So what is the frame rate? 200, that's pretty, really high. Latency's really low. But the quality of the game itself is not real pretty. So might be a personal preference. Somebody might like that setting, but I don't think so. Too blurry for me. We'll call that 210 or so frames. So this is 3440 DLSS quality low. Game setting quality is low. Say 210 roughly, maybe a little more. Alright, let's try medium. We're going to make these textures and things look better. Yeah. Medium. Alright, so now the textures look pretty nice. It's not so blurry, and the grass is not missing. So it's definitely added a lot more quality to the game. This is a nice setting here. 155, 158 frames. Decent latency, under 10. This is a good setting. It looks nice, good frame rate, good latency. You could have fun on this for hours. That's a nice way to play the game. So that's about, we'll call that 160 frames. And this is 1440p DLS quality with the game on medium quality, 160 frames. Alright, let's try the game on high quality. So the texture is going to get sharper on the road. And over YouTube and stuff, it might be kind of hard to tell the difference. But I assure you it's getting sharper and sharper. So I'll try to articulate best I can. Not a poet, but I'll try to describe what I'm seeing. So things that you might not see yourself, I assure you are there and happening. So yeah, let's see. It's very subtle differences here. Grass looks really nice. The grass has shadows. The railing has a little bit of reflection to it. Jaggies are almost nowhere to be found. The sky looks beautiful. The shadows in the trees and the pop-in distance looks good. Pretty good down there. These are a little fuzzy, but pretty damn sharp. This is on a 45-inch OLED monitor. 3440 by 1440p ultra wide at 240 hertz refresh rate. 143. So yeah, imperfections in the game would show up. So yeah, medium was 160 frames, high is 143. This same setting was 165 frames in the performance mode. So you drop about 20 frames going from performance DLSS to high. And I think the high is or going from performance DLSS to quality. I think the quality is the way to go with this card. 140 frames. A lot of people have, 144 hertz monitors these days. So this was probably a pretty good setting here for a lot of people. Very crisp, very sharp, not a lot of jaggies, not a lot of fuzz. Not still under the 10 millisecond latency for the most part. GPU's not pegged all the time. It's really high, but it's not off the chart. And good frame rate. Yeah, this is a nice setting here. Alright, let's go to, we're staying DLSS, ultra quality DLSS, so that's the frame gen and sharpening techniques from Nvidia, and then we'll just put the game on ultra. I think we tried this already. Yeah, we did. This is DLSS quality, so it should be 115 frames unless I wrote it down wrong. Yeah, 115 frames. Latency's getting up there, so I really don't recommend this setting. It doesn't look much better in my opinion. Yeah, latency went up to 14. I didn't see any strobing, but I went perpendicular to it either. That's when it's worse. Kind of like when you're watching a basketball game on TV and somebody throws the ball across the court from one end to the other. On the old school TVs, it would be like because it's 60 frames per second. And that ball is calling, so you just get a couple slices of it as it goes by. A TV that can do 120 hertz, like some of these modern ones you might buy at Walmart right now, it's just going to be nice and smooth. Same in the game, so latency is important, frame rate's important. Alright, so these are the settings I want to show you that I recommend to make this game look just as good as Ultra, in my opinion. Because a lot of it you're not even going to notice because you're going 150 miles an hour on the track, and then we'll drive it. So what I would do, set everything to low first. Let's try it native first. No DLSS since this is set to none. And then anti-aliasing, I usually use 2 to 4. I usually use 2 to 4 on VR, so VR is more demanding, so I think 4 on 2D will make it look nice. These are going to add blur. Max, you could probably bump that up if you want. A lot of this you just can't tell any difference at all. Adds frame time. Screen space shadows, I like to have this on half resolution. What that is that means shadows move around when the sunlight's coming through the car and you're driving around at the corner. The shadows will move and track, and also vehicles that are in front of you where the sun is shining on the side of the car will have a shadow on the left if the sun's coming to the right, so it looks more realistic. If you have this all the way off, you still have shadows under the car, but it looks like it's always noon. It's just a shadow that's fixed that just follows the car. Grass density, I usually turn that on low, so there's a little bit of fuzz on the side of the road that gives you something that your eyes see moving going by rapidly, kind of like stripes on the road. Those little bushes and things coming by give you that sense of speed, so I think that's important. Clouds, I don't look at clouds when I'm racing. Depth of field, I don't like that. I don't like blur. I need all the mirrors and all the resolution and all the distance and all the displays for best immersion and knowing what the heck's going on around me. You don't want to be looking out the front window and it's crisp and clear and you look at your mirror and it's a jagged mess. You can't even tell what's behind you and you can't see it until it's right on top of you. So high resolution, long distance, quality. So these are the settings I recommend for this game. 1440p. Same settings I would use at 1080p, but just a higher resolution. So now everything is super sharp, no jaggies. The people are not fuzzy because it's native resolution. What frame rate are we getting? Yeah, 150, 60, 70 frames. So we'll call it 170. In 1080p, these very same settings gave 240 frames. So if you've got like a 27-inch monitor or something like that, or maybe even up to 32 or 35, and you just play in 1080p, you're going to get 240 frames. So that's super nice. And if you're 1440p or close to 4K, you're probably going to be between 120 and 160 frames. Let's do a lap. If you could get that out of the way just so you can see the game, but we'll leave the other up. Bear with me, I've been driving in VR for weeks, so probably going to hit everything and everybody, but let me turn this crosshair off my monitor. I'm not shooting anybody in the car. We'll wait for GTA 6 to come out. So, yeah, just so you guys know also, there's more to getting the game to run good. You gotta tweak your CPU, you gotta tweak your GPU, you gotta tweak Windows, you gotta tweak your BIOS. All those things lead to getting the frame rates that I have. And some of you guys may have, hit the silicon lottery, so to speak, and have better results than I have even. And you're certainly probably not recording while you're playing, unless you're a streamer. So your frame rate could be better than mine. I wouldn't be too surprised by that. But if for some reason you're not getting the frame rate, you're not, happy with it, if you guys need help, I have a business for that. It's called Tech Support, and it's for gamers and businesses and individuals that have computer problems. And I've got some remote control software. If we need to, I can remote into the computer, see exactly what's going on, and adjust settings for you and get it running and perfect, as good as you possibly can. Fast, crisp, reliable. I think those are the three things I would strive for, just off the top of my head. If you've seen any of my videos, you know there's kind of a stream of consciousness. I don't really write it all out, but let's see, I'm trying to think, is there anything else? So anyway, yeah, this is looking pretty good here. Let me look at my notes. I've got some talking points. We'll let this play while I'm talking. Let me just look at my notes, see if there's anything I missed here. Is this playing? It's playing the vehicle. Why is his front wheel spinning and not the rear? Is anybody driving? Not at that time, huh? Oh, that was me. That's me testing video settings on the side of the road. Yeah, I think a lot of people are just... There we go. Got something to look at while I'm talking. So yeah, it looks super sharp, doesn't it? Look at the frame rate, 150. It'll vary, but yeah, under 10 milliseconds, 165 frames, 190 in areas. Super duper sharp. So these are the settings I would recommend for this kind of computer. If you have a AMD 7900 XTX, you could probably achieve pretty similar results with these settings. I may do some testing with that card as well, and I've got a 5090 coming in tomorrow. We'll do some testing with it as well. We'll kind of see how it performs, and we'll test these cards in VR, because that's going to be twice as demanding. There's me doing a little test hit there. So yeah, if you need help fixing your computer, or know somebody needs help fixing their computer, I've been a Microsoft certified systems engineer. I've been doing this, helping people with their computers professionally for over 30 years, and work for Fortune 500 companies and banking systems and government systems. Of course, run my own business to serve customers. So I can help you with your PC hardware and games. If you want me to build a computer for you, I can spec it out and build it for you and ship you one. There's a lot of ways I can help you. But my goal would be to get you the highest frame rate possible with the sharpest picture, the best reliability, so it's very stable, no lockups and spontaneous reboots and headaches. I can go through all your favorite games and go through all the settings and get them dialed in for the best quality. So yeah, just the links in the bio. Just hit me up on Discord and with a DM if it's something you're interested in. Um, just charge an hourly rate with the, you know, yeah, I do have like a nominal fee to do anything. So I'm not just wasting my time. And you would pay that up front, and then you would have me for that block of time, which would be roughly about an hour, and we would just fix everything we can within an hour, which would be probably everything. I can get a whole lot done within an hour. And this computer's just a basket case and has a whole lot of other issues, but and if it was going over an hour, we would have that conversation first and decide if we want to go further with it or if we call it good enough. Let's see, what else should I mention? Well, anyway, I was just going to thank you guys for watching and let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd like to hear what kind of setups you guys have and what's video settings you're finding that are working good in Assetto Corsa EVO for you. Your video card settings, are you overclocking? What kind of monitors you have? What's your VR equipment? What kind of frame rate you see in that? All that kind of information's interesting to me. And you're welcome to come and post your rigs in the Discord section, and we can talk shop in there and stuff, help each other. And just don't forget to thumbs up the vids, follow and subscribe so to get notifications on the various platforms. I'm streaming on Twitch, TikTok, and YouTube. Probably right now when you're watching this video. I stream multiple times a day, every day. You're welcome to come in there and ask questions and hang out, vibe, join my game, join my squad. I think the next video I'll do will probably be centered around VR and also the 5090. Like I said, it's going to be here tomorrow, late in the evening. And also have some videos, other videos on Assetto Corsa EVO in particular. One of them that's pretty popular is how to reset Assetto Corsa EVO settings so the game will start again if you can't get it to launch, or if you've geeked up the settings and can't get something to work right. I can show you how to delete individual config files so you don't have to blow away all your keybinds to fix the video settings. They were nice enough to split all that out in different files. Let's see, what else do I have? Oh yeah, we're going to get some dedicated servers for Assetto Corsa EVO the moment that's available. I've got the money set aside for that. I'm going to pay for it initially, get it up and running. Hopefully the community will chip in after that, because I'm going to rent one for Assetto Corsa EVO, Rust, Dirty Bomb, which I'm already doing that. I've been renting that one for 10 years. It's a fun, free-to-play, first-person shooter on Steam, so check that out, you PC gamers. 6 gigabyte download, loads of fun. We're playing it every night. Packed the server right now. And then we're going to get dedicated server set up for Battlefield 6 as well. So definitely encourage you guys to get all those games that I play and hang out in our Discord and, launch into those games when somebody else does and when I do. And we'll stream together and play together and have a good old time. The whole point of me streaming in the first place was just to make new friends and have friends to play games with every time I go online. I can, send a batch of messages out, find a group of players. Well, once we have the dedicated servers, we'll have our own home, and that'll get popular. And once it gets popular, then we'll start having regulars come in there, and we'll filter out the ones that are coming in there just to cause damage and start problems. The rammers and stuff. We'll get those toxic ones out. So it'll be a nice, friendly. We'll allow people to pass. We don't ram. Give room on the first lap so people don't hit each other. We just try not to touch each other's car. Allow passing and be friendly. It's okay if things get heated about a race. Sometimes it happens. But within a couple of races, everybody should just be chilling out. And let's just get back to racing. Beat me on the track. It's not that serious. At the end of the day, we're just, manipulating pixels on a screen in a way that's entertaining. So, nobody should be fighting over that. So anyway, looking forward to all that, and hope to see you guys on the track very soon. I think that's all I have for you right now. So like I said, yeah, please give the thumbs up on the video if you found it if you found it informative, and if you'd like to get notifications, make sure you hit that bell and hit the all option so you get all the notifications. I think the default just gives you some. Anyway, I'll catch you later. See you on the track. GG's.